Hello students, today we're going to start creating something called a tessellation. And so we're going to have a piece of paper, but we're also going to have this piece of poster board to help begin creating this tessellation. This shape is going to, the way that I'm going to create it, it's going to be able to repeat without any negative spaces, without any gaps in between. So I'm going to move this out of the way so that you can see this a little bit more easily. But I'm going to take this and I'm going to number my corners. I'm going to number them across just so that I remember where to put my line. So it's just a light line that's a number 1, 2, 3, and 4. When I'm done with that, I'm going to make sure that my line starts right in the corner. If it were to start over here, it's gonna be hard to line it up later. So just make a nice simple line. It's easiest if it goes from one corner to another corner. I'm just making a rounded line. Like I wouldn't make a line that's like super detailed like that. That'd be really hard to cut, because something you need to have is that when you cut it out, it's gonna need to be cut out in one piece. If you have any scraps, that will create negative space. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to start right in my corner and I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to miss the line on purpose. If I miss this line a little bit, don't cut it again, because then you're going to end up with a scrap, and then that's going to make it so that it doesn't repeat. You'll have a gap in it. So if you miss your line a little bit, just leave it. Don't cut an extra part in it. You want to make sure that it goes in one piece. As you're working on this, I'm going to be passing out some pieces of tape. This piece is going to go from the top and it's going to slide down to the bottom. So I like to put the tape on the back, and I'm just going to have it overlap a little bit. You don't want to have it go like way up here, because then you're going to have extra tape hanging off of the edge. So just put a little bit of tape on here. Then I'm gonna flip it back over. I wanna make sure that I put it in its place where it was, because I don't wanna end up flipping it over. You can see it looks similar, but it doesn't quite fit. If it's flipped over, then it won't repeat when we draw it. So I'm gonna slide it down, and I'm gonna show you some bad examples here. This is a bad example because this is negative space. You can see that there's a gap in it right here. This is also a bad example by taking it and having it be up way too far. So this is also a bad example where you can see that it slid over. Each of those things don't look like that big of a deal, but it will make a difference when you try to draw it. So you can see that I slid it right down. There's no gap. If there is some extra tape, you can just trim that tape off of there. But that's why I only had a little bit. Once that one is slid down, then I am going to draw my next line. This one is gonna go from corner 3, and it can come out and go right back to 1. It could go off this edge too, but kind of the same thing. Just keep it simple. Draw a nice, simple, easy line. Then I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna make sure not to have any scraps. So I'm gonna follow that edge. I'm missing the line just a little bit, which is okay. I'm gonna work my way around, and I'm gonna cut it. Now this one is gonna move from the left over to the right. So I'm gonna take this piece and I'm gonna move it. So since it's coming over here, I'm gonna move it. Sometimes there's extra tape, so I might just take it and tear this, or you can cut it with your scissors. But I'm gonna take this so I don't have too much hanging over the side, and I'm gonna set that piece down and then flip it back over so you can see it. And it's gonna move from the left and it's gonna come over to the right. You can see I'm not gonna have a gap in it. I'm not gonna slide it up or down. I'm gonna have it go right across. So it's exactly where it was before. You can see I don't have much tape because I made sure that it was just a smaller piece of tape. Then I will give you one extra piece of tape. I'll give you 3 pieces because I do want you to tape this to the back later. I'm gonna move this here, and I'm gonna show you how this repeats. The first one is really important to get it lined up. So I'm gonna get this lined up so that I can fold these corners over. If I get this first one lined up so that these ones are wrapped around the back, they're all gonna be able to fit and be able to repeat it. So I've got this piece here. I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna trace it. Once I trace this out, then I'm gonna unfold it. You're gonna see that I can slide it over and this piece fits in just like a puzzle piece. Sometimes I will take it and just fold the top down just so that it lines up and this is nice and straight. And I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna trace this edge, and then this one was already drawn. I can slide it over and then I trace this corner, okay? Once those are done, then I open it up and I move it down to the bottom, making sure you can wrap this corner too if you need to, just so it fits right in here. Now that it's fitting in there, I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna outline that edge, and then I have to unfold it and open it up, and it should fit right in here. This is all that we need to have done today, is to really have the shape made. And then if you have a chance to trace it out, that would be good. And as I'm tracing this out too, I'm just kind of imagining what this shape could end up being. Often the artists we talked about, M.C. Escher, would make animals. It does not have to be an animal. This could be anything that you want it to be, anything that you see it being. So I could turn it into an airplane, I could turn it into a hot air balloon, I could turn it into an ice cream cone, whatever you think it could be, go for it. So it really traces 9 times. If you end up having extra time, I want you to flip it over, and on this part, I'm just gonna trace the whole thing, and I'm going to come up with maybe 2 different ideas. If you have time, you can come up with more than one idea. One thing that I'm seeing that this could be, I'm not gonna tell you, I'm gonna draw it first, but try to figure out what it is as I draw it. So I think that I'm gonna do a few lines here. Whatever I draw, I need to make sure that I can draw it the same every time. So I don't wanna put a million lines on it. So I've got 3 lines here, I've got 2 there. I'm gonna do 1 here, 1 here, just keeping it simple. And then I think that I'm gonna do a line here and a line here, and maybe you can tell what I'm turning it into. I saw kind of an elephant's head with a trunk. So as you're drawing it, you can kind of imagine what it might be. If I have one idea, then maybe I'm gonna take it and imagine a second idea that it could be. Often it's helpful to take it as you work on it and just kind of turn it around and look at it from different ways. So like I can see, if I turn it like this, maybe I could turn it into like this, could be like an angelfish with the body. A mouth. And I wouldn't put, because I've had students where they put like a million lines on it. Maybe I'm just gonna have a curvy line with 3 dots and a curvy line, because then I can easily repeat it. And maybe this is gonna be a zigzag line and this is gonna be 2 curved lines. So whatever you draw, make sure it's nice and simple, okay? So you can turn it, try to come up with an idea, and then at the end of our time, I would like you, since this is the front, don't put your name on that side, put your name on the side that has the tape. So write your name, you can write your class code, and then you can just leave it like that so I can see it. You're also gonna need your name on here and your class code, and you're going to need to take the extra piece of tape and you're gonna tape your shape to the back. And then next week, we'll start using that idea to turn it and put it onto the front. All right, so let's have fun.